She was betrayed by those meant to protect her. Lied against, by her own blood. Forced into a marriage she didn't choose. Her dreams torn apart in one cruel moment. But nothing was what it seemed. He wasn't poor. He wasn't blind. She returned, stronger. Smarter. Unstoppable. Now, justice is calling. And this time, they'll all pay. Please subscribe to this channel to support us. It's free. Thank you. Dee Dee's voice rang through the compound like a clap of thunder. Go, you whore. Maybe now we can finally have peace in this house. She shouted, her voice sharp with hatred as she hurled Helen's worn-out box onto her head. Helen staggered under the weight, her thin frame trembling. Tears burned behind her eyes, but she clenched her jaw, refusing to let them fall. She turned slowly, her gaze falling on the man she still called father, Pa Obinna, who stood silent and stiff by the doorway. His eyes, once full of warmth, now held only contempt and disappointment. She had not sinned. She had only tried to survive despite the cruelty she lived within that house. For months, Chica, her stepmother's only son, had lurked around her like a shadow. His stares made her skin crawl, his disgusting words were whispered behind closed doors, and his attempts to touch her sensitive and private parts filled her nights with nightmares. She avoided him at all costs, never telling anyone, because who would believe her? In this house, Dee Dee ruled not only the kitchen and the keys, but she controlled everything, even her father's thoughts. Then came the day everything broke. She had just returned from fetching water when Chica grabbed her by the wrist behind the yam barn. I'm having a taste of you today whether you like it or not. You'll satisfy my longing, he hissed. Let go, she yelled as she yanked him off with every ounce of strength she had. It was her scream that brought them running, her father and Dee Dee, just in time to see her struggling in Chica's grip. But before anyone could speak, Chica yanked at his shirt, tearing it, and fell to the ground wailing, "She tried to seduce me. She said she would give herself to me if I didn't tell. She has been like this for a while, Papa and Mama, please save me," he said with crocodile tears in his eyes. Ha! That's a lie. Helen screamed but was cut off with Dee Dee wailing as if possessed. Flinging herself onto the floor. This is what I've been warning you about, Obin. She's a Jezebel. She's possessed, see what she's trying to practice with her stepbrother, incest. Her father didn't say a word. He just walked away. Something in him for her died that day, and to him, she no longer existed. From then on, he couldn't look at her. He couldn't speak to her without contempt. And Dee Dee? She became more vicious. She threw away her clothes, slapped her for imagined offenses, and made her scrub the compound twice a day, whispering into her ears, "You'll regret the day you entered this house." She was forbidden from going near the front room, denied food if Dee Dee claimed she looked proud, and given the most grueling chores while Chica smirked in satisfaction. Then the town crier's bell broke the village's dawn silence one morning. Hear ye! Hear ye! The king will bestow land, gold, and a monthly stipend to any family who gives their daughter in marriage to the blind, childless man who lives at the village outskirts. He desires only a child to bear his name before he dies. Whispers filled every compound. But in Dee Dee's ears, it was a godsend. That evening, she wore a wrapper tighter than usual and smiled while stirring soup. "Obinna," she said sweetly, "what if we give Helen to that man? No one else wants her, it will save us the intended shame of running after her own stepbrother. At least she can be of some use." Obinna didn't hesitate. "Do what you will." Helen wasn't aware of the plan yet. 3 days later, while sweeping the front yard, a postman arrived, handing her a letter. She opened it slowly, eyes scanning the bold letters. Admission letter, Faculty of Law. Her knees buckled. She gasped. Joy surged through her like light. It was all A's through with a full scholarship. Finally her dreams had come to pass, and she would finally leave this hell called home. She ran into the house screaming, "I got in. I got in. I'm going to study law. Papa." She had waited years for this. Dee and her father had denied her from writing the entrance exams 3 times with the excuse of no money, whereas they'd give Chica the money. He's a male child, and for the 3 times he had failed woefully. It was her kind teacher, Mrs. Igioma, who paid secretly to get her the forms when it was almost late for the 4th time and tutored her late into the evenings to make sure she passed, even though Dee would always intentionally make her miss the lessons with irrelevant chores, just to distract and keep her away. She never expected a miracle, but here it was. She raced inside, letter in hand. "Papa! Look!" But Dee snatched it before her father could even glance. "What's this nonsense?" she growled. Without reading a line further, she tore the letter and flung the pieces into the charcoal fire. "You're marrying Jide, the blind man at the village outskirts," she said coldly. "Your things are packed." Helen fell to the floor. "No. Please." She ran to her father, tears soaking her wrapper. "Please, Papa. Please. Let me go to school. I will make you proud. You've already shamed us enough, this is the only opportunity to salvage it a bit," he said, turning away. That same week, Helen was escorted through the dusty path leading to the village's edge, to a small, lonely hut surrounded by tall grass and silence. The villagers whispered as she passed, some with pity, others with scorn. She must have done something terrible for her father to do this. How could he give her only daughter to a poor blind man? Her mother wouldn't have allowed this if she was alive. All this and more were the villagers whispering. They reached the mud house at the edge of the forest. It was quiet, too quiet. No sound but the crickets and the soft hum of the wind. The man stood outside, tall, quiet, and blind with his eyes clouded white, his hands folded gently over a walking stick. "Thank you," he said in a deep voice. "You've come. That is enough." She stared at him, heartbroken and spirit crushed, but despite that, she empathized with him in his condition and vowed to help him in her own little way. But little did they know. Jide was no ordinary man. Jide, once known as Prince Olajide Kanmu, had been the crowned heir of the coastal kingdom of Uromi. But a betrayal within the royal court led to his downfall. His younger brother, driven by envy, plotted with a witch to curse him with blindness and exile, faking his death to seize power. In truth, Jide was never blind, he had only pretended to be, waiting for the prophecy to come true. When one who is falsely accused and shamed brings light into the darkness of your life, your eyes shall be opened and your name restored. So the moment Helen stepped into his life, the weight of her innocence and injustice awakened something in him. The curse broke. His vision returned by midnight on the 7th day of their being together. But instead of sending Helen away, he called her to the inner chamber. "There's something you must know," he said, revealing everything. At first, Helen thought it a joke, but when she saw the documents, the family crests, and the emissaries that visited secretly under the moon, she wept. "You believed in my pain before I ever told you, and you even cared for me despite the marriage being against your wish," he said. "Now I will believe in your dreams." With his wealth and influence, he reached out to the university, explained the situation, and paid triple the tuition. In a matter of weeks, Helen stood at the gates of a private law university in Lagos, textbooks in hand and heart full of fire. Years passed. Helen excelled. Top of her class. Student speaker. Internship at a top firm. By the time she graduated, she was already a legal force. But her soul had unfinished business. Jide, now fully reinstated in his kingdom, stood by her side when she returned home, not as a broken girl, but as a lawyer with a fire that could not be extinguished. She arrived at the same village square where Didi once humiliated her. The villagers gathered in awe. Some whispered, others gasped. Didi's mouth fell open when she saw her, polished, powerful, and with a team of lawyers behind her. "I came not just for closure," Helen said, her voice echoing through the square. I came for justice. Months before, during her final year, Helen had launched a private investigation into her father's sudden death, which had occurred not long after the family received the king's reward for offering their daughter. The autopsy revealed poison. Administered slowly, over months. Traces of rat poison in his evening meals. The killer? Didi. Driven by greed, she had killed her husband in cold blood, hoping to take full control of the land and money given to them. But justice was patient. And Helen had returned. In court, the evidence was undeniable. The village nurse testified that Didi came for strong herbs often. Neighbors recalled seeing her dispose of food suspiciously. But most damning of all was the witness of Chica, her own son, who, under pressure, confessed that his mother told him to keep quiet about the poison. Didi was sentenced to life in prison for the murder of her husband. Chica was next. Helen stood before the court, strong and tearless. This man destroyed my life with a lie. He stole my father's heart from me. He cost me my youth, my peace, and nearly my dreams. But no more. Chica was charged with defamation, sexual harassment, and perjury. The case sparked national conversations. It was featured on local radio stations and newspapers and even drew attention from women's rights organizations. Helen, once a girl with no voice, became a voice for thousands. Years later, Helen established the Rising Daughters Foundation, dedicated to educating and empowering girls who had been denied opportunity due to poverty, lies, or abuse. She and Jide ruled not just a kingdom but a legacy. And every year, on the anniversary of her forced wedding, she walked barefoot to the same path where Didi dragged her. Only now, she walked with pride, a golden crown on her head and daughters behind her chanting. No more silence. No more shame. We rise. Let me know your thoughts about this story in the comments section. Thanks for watching and listening. Like and share, turn on your notification bell, and subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories like this. Thank you.